I think the proposition I'm going to put to you today is the answer to what is almost certainly the most critical issue for asset managers, financial advisors, anybody who's involved in financial services industry. Why is it that a client chooses you to do this job? Or probably more importantly, why did they choose somebody else and not you? And a related question is, why is it that during the difficult phases in the cycle, there are some financial service providers who lose their clients and others who don't, even though on paper the performance is identical? Sometimes the one who loses the client, their performance was even better. This is data about net asset flows going into fund managers in the US in these 4 investment categories: emerging market equities, global fixed income, high yield, and US small to mid caps. Now, these are the net asset flows. In orange, what you can see is the inflows to those firms who were the best at gathering assets. So these are the top quintile, the top 20% of asset accumulators over that period. What you see in blue are the top performers, the 20% best performing funds in those categories. Now, what you notice is that these are not the same firms. In fact, the top asset accumulators accumulated about 4 times as much as the best performers. And the same applies to the downside. These are the assets lost by those firms. Those 20% that lost net the most assets, you see in orange. And in blue, you see the bottom 20% of performers. They're not the same firms. In fact, in the global fixed income, you can see there, the worst performers actually saw net inflows during this period. So those soft factors seem to be playing a very, very large role. When we make a judgment about somebody, we make an impression about somebody that we meet for the very first time. We don't make a judgment on a single dimension, good or bad. We make a judgment along 2 dimensions. The first dimension is the intentions, our perception of that person's intentions towards us. And the second judgment is about their ability to act on those intentions. And when there is a backdrop of risk, of vulnerability, that combined judgment is what is most commonly referred to as trust. So what clients want are not necessarily asset managers or financial advisors who will outperform necessarily, but partners they perceive as trustworthy, individuals that they can trust. And consultants, either by accident or design, have clearly recognized this. What they put in front of their clients is not necessarily fund managers who they believe are going to outperform, but fund managers they are convinced that their clients will perceive as trustworthy and therefore that their clients ought to like. But what I want to specifically draw your attention to is that all of the professions that are related to the financial services industry, banker, broker, fund manager, financial advisor, lawyer, all of them are in the bottom right-hand corner. Probably, I mean, this is 2013, but after the GFC, probably even in the bottom left-hand corner. In this industry, we are perceived as competent, but cold. We're not necessarily trusted because we lack warmth. The missing it in this industry is warmth. And this is why, probably over the past few years since the crisis, that active managers have seen their market share nibbled away by ETFs and passive instruments. Why financial advisors have seen their market share nibbled away by robo-advisors. Now, these formulaic products, they can't put their clients' interests first. They can't have benevolent intentions. They're a bit like engineers on this, neither warm nor cold. Engineers are more interested in what other engineers think of their work than the end user. They're not working for me, but, and this is the key point, they're not working against me either. They're neutral, warmth neutral. And in the domain of the cold, the lukewarm is king. Now, there has been some research that's looked into the effect of high trust relationships between financial service providers, especially financial advisors and their retail clients. And what has been shown is that when a client trusts their advisor, their perception of the riskiness of the enterprise that they're doing together is reduced. The consequence of this is that they are able to hold riskier portfolios over the long run, permanently higher levels of risk than they would have been able to achieve alone. Now, anybody who's holding portfolios with higher betas, one could expect that over the long run, they would earn higher returns. So the high trust relationship brings very big advantages for the clients. Their overall anxiety is also reduced. Once again, it brings advantages for the clients. It also encourages clients to remain longer with the manager or with the advisor. Now, for any individual client, because there is no evidence they have any timing ability, jumping from one firm to another, from one advisor to another, or from one investment manager to another, does not bring any advantages, only costs. So this high trust relationship, once again, brings big advantages. Another feature is that it should allow fewer discussions about fees. In short, cold managers earn fees, warm managers deserve them. Now, I want to bust some myths about trust whilst I'm here. You've probably heard this expression: trust takes years to build but can be destroyed in seconds. Well, you can imagine our surprise when we found absolutely no evidence for this whatsoever. In fact, as we've already demonstrated here, trust is not some one thing to be built and destroyed. Trust is two things to be built and destroyed. You have competence-based trust and you have warmth-based trust. Now, when I started this research, I actually did not know what the answer was going to be. I didn't know what the end of today's presentation was going to provide as an answer, or even if there was one. But you know what? Since we finished, I now see warmth competence everywhere. I see it on television, the TV presenters, the teachers at my kids' school, electoral candidates. I see warmth competence everywhere. And as I see it everywhere, I see lots of opportunities for trying to influence it.